Hi, my name is Linda Hasselberg. My husband and I own Wimberley Stitch Studio and the Cutting Edge Precision Sharpening here in Wimberley, Texas. And you are watching this video because you're prepping to take my fabric collage class. I'm going to show you a few things on how to get ready for the class. It helps you a lot if you prep ahead of time so that you're not worn out cutting and doing all just the cutting parts when you want to be doing the creating part in class and learning that part of it. So I'm going to show you a couple of different patterns, or several behind me as well. The one up on the side over here is the Angel collage. It's called The Guardian, and it's by Laura Heine of Fiberworks. And she is one of the more famous designers, well-known designers for fabric collage. Also, there is Emily Taylor of Collage Quilter and Susan Carlson. And I combine a lot of their techniques that I've learned over the years to create collages. I don't just use one teacher's methods. I tried different ones. I have used a lot of different fusible interfacings or fusible stabilizers behind them. I've used different fabrics. I've used different foundation methods to make collage, and found what works better for me. And I will share those with you. My motto that I use in most of my classes is there are no rules. You can do what works better for you. So you can try this method or a combination of methods, or go off on your own and try something different. And that's what makes art. It's the creativity, the trying something new, getting off the beaten path. So I want you to try some of these methods and go off on your own like that. So you saw the Guardian Angel, and that is the painterly method that Laura Heine uses for some of her patterns. This is another one that I did, and it is little Penelope Pig, and I did this one with the floral motifs, but I went outside the box a little bit, and instead of she was done on a pink foundation fabric, but the background fabric I used a table topper that I hadn't been using for anything else, a little sample, and I finished her off on that. And you'll see on this I didn't cover all of the foundation fabric completely with other fabrics, other motifs. I just did parts of it because it was experimenting and I wanted to see what it turned out like, and I rather like it. Also, one of the first ones that we did here at the shop when we were first experimenting with collage was the owl, and this is Cora the owl it's one of Laura Heine's patterns. We also carry some patterns by Emily Taylor, and this is one of them. It's called June Bloom, and this pattern is just absolutely gorgeous. It's a different technique where a majority of Laura Heine patterns seem to use, or those that make them seem to use a lot of cutout flower motifs with, not all of them, she does some with other fabrics as well, but Emily Taylor uses a lot of batiks and blenders and things to get the colors that she wants in hers. So again, no rules. You can do it how you want to do it. So we have several of Emily Taylor's patterns. We have quite a few of Laura Heine's patterns. And I would encourage you to look on collagequilter.com and Fiberworks-Heine, I think it is, or it's Heine-Fiberworks.com for her patterns, and look at those on there and see what you might like to start with. And then you can look on SusanCarlson.com. Her website shows some wonderful videos of her methods as well. And a book that I recommend is Laura's Little Book of Collage, and with Laura Heine, and she gives some good techniques and information. It's just a basic information on starting collage, along with showing several of her patterns as well. It's not an absolute must have that book, but it's a helpful thing to help you remember what you were learning in class too. CollageQuilter.com, she's got a book also that I don't have with me right now, but I will have in class so that you can see that one. And her book is fabulous, and she has free patterns in there as well that you can start with, so that's a lot of fun. A lot of the reason why we use a lot of Laura Heine's patterns is I really like the layout, the design of the pattern itself. It's a black and white design that you trace on your foundation fabric, and you work from there. So starting with the foundation fabric that you're going to be using, Laura Heine recommends using a kind of a paper, it's not a paper, it's a poly blend kind of fabric that feels a lot like paper to do her foundations for hers. It's called Pattern Ease for the foundation. I tried it. I didn't really care for it. I like using plain muslin, lightweight cotton, solid. I've used print before though. There's no reason, no rules why you can't use that as well. It depends on what you want to show through. If you don't cover every little bit of the foundation, collage tends to cover it all. Like with the Guardian Angel, that one is completely covered. The foundation fabric is all that's under it. You don't have a background fabric, where a lot of these will have a background, and you can have a solid. Anyway, let me go back to the foundation. You can choose either one. It's your choice. I don't like the feel of Pattern Ease in my project. I like the feel of the fabric, and I feel like I'm able to stitch it down afterwards and get a better look to my collage. Also, the background fabric, there's all different choices. In Cora the Owl, there were strips, about quarter-yard strips, 9-inch strips that were sewn together for the entire background. And you could do that. You can piece it together however you'd like. It could be real scrappy, real crazy quilt kind of background. You can put it on another quilt top that you hadn't used, or you can use a solid piece of fabric, or a combination of all of those things. So it's your choice on that. But I really recommend that you don't worry about your background fabric until you have your main motif done. And the difference with that would be if you're doing the painterly that has every bit of it covered with strips. Now the next thing that you're going to be thinking about before class, and this is the main reason that we do, I do this pre-class teaching, is so you don't wear out your hands. I have gotten in a hurry and tried over a night or two to cut out every motif I needed for a class and wore my hands out. I have issues with carpal tunnel, that kind of stuff anyway, so I don't want another episode of irritating it. So this is going to be the best thing that you hear today, and that is get the right scissors. These are Karen K. Buckley Perfect Scissors. They come in different sizes. I carry 3 different sizes here. The purple ones are great for all kinds of other things, not necessarily for collage. It's more for big cuts, but these are great scissors to use. Either one of these I think work very well for collage. The green ones are the smallest. You can work tiny little cuts and around corners and stuff with it, but I find you can really do almost that with these as well. The difference is how they fit your fingers. So whatever you're comfortable with, no rules. So I'm going to show you with these scissors though how to cut your fabric so that you can do it a little at a time. Every evening sit down, work on a little bit of cutting for the motifs you think you might want to use. You may not use them all. I can almost guarantee you won't use them all. Or you'll decide you want to add a few more into it, which you can cut out during class time without an issue. But you find the motifs you want to use. It could be different florals. It could be little characters. One of my students put fish, little bitty fish, and little bitty puppy dogs, and birds in the area of the cat pattern that I thought was kind of whimsical and fun. So that's something you can do, but you can pick any motif you want to cut out for your collage. You're going to need lots and lots of Steam-A-Seam 2 light. Steam-A-Seam 2 light. And you can get it in whatever width you need to get it in. On Laura Heine's pattern, she will suggest how many yards that you'll need of it. And chances are you're going to need more. There's just a lot of cutting involved with this. So you're going to get your Steam-A-Seam. You're going to find your fabric that you want to cut something out with. I recommend only getting 1/8 of a yard. If it's for motifs and stuff, you don't need more than 1/8 of a yard of something. Or if you have scraps in your stash, just a scrap of something that has a motif that you want. So if we were to consider this as one of the stash pieces, then you peel the white paper side off of Steam-A-Seam 2. Now this is the right, what I consider is the best fusible to put on the back of your fabric, because it's tacky. It doesn't move around on you while you're working on your project. I've used them all. I've used Heat and Bond, and I've used, I can't remember all the names of them. I've used a lot of different brands of fusible, and they didn't do what I wanted them to do. So I think, a lot of the well-known teachers, they encourage this too. Now, there are some that use glue sticks and other kinds of glue, and that's not wrong either. You find what works for you. But for the purposes of this class, you're going to use Steam-A-Seam 2 light on the back, and you just use the heat of your hand and press it down really good. And it's tacky. It's not going to come off until you peel it off. So what you're going to do first is you're going to get a hold of these scissors, and our tendency when we start cutting is to cut along the edge of our motif. You can see there what I'm doing. And to start twisting our hands to get around things like this. That's what you don't want to do, because you're going to wear your wrist and your thumbs out doing that. Instead, let both hands do the work, and you're going to hold this hand just straight, so it's only doing one job, is just the cutting. And you're going to move this hand to do the cutting. You're going to go around this way as you're cutting. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So what I would like you to do is find all the foundation or motif patterns that you want to use, and start cutting them out and putting them in either boxes or Ziploc bags. Sort them out according to color if you'd like. Or style or anything, whatever you want to do, and have those ready for class. If you're doing the painterly method with the strips, it's even easier. You're going to take a lot of different fabrics, a lot of different colors in the colors that you choose for your project, and you're going to put the Steam-A-Seam 2 light on the back of a whole strip of it. It can be 1/8 of a yard or a fat 16ths or fat 1/8 or whatever you choose. And then you're going to start cutting them in strips. And you'll cut a whole strip across from one end to the other with your rotary cutter about anywhere from a half an inch to an inch and a quarter. It's not that critical. You don't have to measure it. Just take your ruler and your rotary cutter and carefully cut lots of strips with the steam-a-seam already on the back of it. And you're going to do the same thing with that. You're going to sort them according to colors so that you're ready to start with that. That's all the prep you have to do. You're not doing a lot of fussy cutting with your scissors. Unless it's something like this on the angel, the guardian angel. I'm going to turn that back up and you'll see all those sunflowers that she's holding. And so those were fussy cut. There was a few other pieces around that were fussy cut. And then another option that we're going to have in class, every class we do, I'll have at the retreat when we do that, is a Sizzix cutter. There are a lot of different cutters. It doesn't really make any difference which one if you have them available, but we'll have it available for our class. And you can put some of your steam-a-seam to light prepared fabric and use the Sizzix dies to cut out some designs. When we were doing the owl, we used a lot of just small floral prints and cut a big floral design out and mix that in with some of the fussy cut flowers, and you can't even tell the difference that it's not a fussy cut flower. It just all works together into a really pretty design. So that's an option as well. And when I did the guardian angel on her wings, you may not be able to see it right now, but I used a lot of white fabric with a feather dye, and I cut all those feathers out, and I started out just around the edges thinking that would look good. Well, I wound up covering a good portion of the wings with those feathers because I just thought it gave it a neat look. Again, it's not all strips. There's no rules. You do it the way you want to do it. When you come to class, be sure you have extra steam-a-seam. We'll have it in class if you need to buy some more. That's not going to be an issue. And your fabric, as much as you can, cut and prepared. You can always do some more in class, but do more than you think you'll need because you'll probably use all of those. The difference is when I did my angel, I cut so many strips I could probably make another angel with it. And that's okay too, because you'll have them all ready to do another collage project if you love it as much as I think you will. So be ready for class. Lay down all your expectations of rules or this is the way you have to do it or being nervous about not being able to do it right. There is no wrong. You have fun. You move things around. You'll try different things. I'm going to be teaching you a lot about how to use color to define areas of your animal, your person, your floral motif or whatever, so that you get shadows and you get more three-dimensional look to it. You're going to use your color, you're going to use the tones, you're going to use different motifs. One of the ladies in my class used little bitty flamingos to make cat eye glasses for her cat, and the way the flamingos just laid around the top of it, it looked just like cat eye glasses. It was the cutest thing. So there's so many things that you have to look outside the box. You can use feathers to make something particular. You can use paisley to make feathers. You can use centers of florals to make eyeballs. One of the ladies did the giraffe, and I don't have that right. I've got it up here. The giraffe is done with it has a lot of thin areas going down the tail, and so she used tulips and different florals like that, stems and things, to create that tail, and it looked wonderful. So there's a lot you can choose from. You have to just think outside the box a little bit. You don't have to be an artist like painting, drawing, because I'd be out if that was the case. This is using the thing that we love, is fabric, and creating beautiful art out of it. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in class. It's one of my favorite classes to do, one of my favorite kinds of fabric projects to do. And so I look forward to seeing you, and thank you for watching. If you have any questions, If there's any patterns you want to order, if you take my class, you get a discount on everything you order, so, or anything that you purchase from us. So keep that in mind. And but if you want a pattern ordered before class, let me know as soon as you can so that I can get it for you in time. And thank you again, and call me if you have questions. You can call 512-808-0490 to Wimberley Stitch Studio, and we'll take care of you. Thank you. Bye-bye.